From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's Indescribably Good. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source, running perhaps one of the more ultimate deals of the year. The Black Friday special. It's live. Why wait for the Friday after Thanksgiving? We're not going to make you wait. Nike75 is your promo code. That's Nike, Nike 75. That gets you an annual membership at warchant.com for only $75. That's nearly a 25% discount. And on top of that, you get a $75 e-card for Nike. I think it's good for like Nike.com. So you can maybe buy a pair of socks, maybe a headband, $75, free of charge. Promo code Nike75. Take advantage of it. Also, take advantage of, listening to Corey Clark and his great writings over on warchant.com. How are you, Corey?
Good, buddy. Good. You can listen to my writings. That should be something we offer, is like me reading my columns.
You should. I've said this before. I really think you should.
You think people would pay like that and like an extra $1 to have me read them? Like
Absolutely.
As like a column on tape?
People love ebooks. I mean, ebooks are all the rage.
Yeah.
Why not?
E-columns. Yeah, it should be me reading my words.
Yeah.
Because then you get the full extent of what I'm trying to say sometimes. You really get to hear my voice.
Absolutely.
And you get those asides that I'm so famous for. Yeah. It's good stuff.
That's right. All right, Corey, we got a football game coming up this week. Weekend.
Yeah. Yep.
Clemson. Do you want to talk about soccer instead?
No. We should probably lead with the football game.
Shout out, though, again to the women's soccer team. Or just the soccer
team.
Yeah,
I did ask. I talked to Mark Krikorian, the head coach. I talked to him on Monday and wrote a column about it, trying to float my idea of claim the national championship, man. Like, you played. You guys went through all the protocols to actually play. You won every game. You outscored your opponents like 38-6 in 11 games. Claim the national championship. And his answer kind of shows why he's who he is, and maybe I am who I am, because he's like, no. He's like, if USC and Stanford and UCLA and Penn State didn't play, then I don't want any part of claim. If we don't have to knock them off, I don't want any part of claiming a national championship. He's like, I know how hard it is to win one of those. I guess he's won 4. He's won 2 here and 2 before he got here. He goes, I know how hard it is to work, and I know the energy and effort it takes to work that hard, so I'm not going to just claim one that we didn't earn. And I'm like, yeah, that kind of sums up the difference between you and me, man. Because I would have been back Sunday night hanging that banner, and I would have given them national championship hats on the field.
I wouldn't have argued with it. I think that's. I'm all aboard the Corey Clark. Let's take the. Let's hang a banner train. I'm sure.
Yeah, but maybe when you expect your standards are so high and you expect to be in there anyway, you don't want to take a cheap one. You want to go ahead and earn a real championship. So anyway, we'll get through this really quickly. But the actual NCAA tournament is in May. They are going to play it. Florida State will be in it. They won the ACC automatic qualifying tournament. He wants to play 7 or 8 games before that, but he doesn't know who. He doesn't know if they're going to play ACC teams or if they're even going to have an ACC schedule or if he can play teams from other conferences. But they'll figure that out as they go. But they do plan on playing for a national championship in May.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
Good enough.
Covered that. Covered our bases there.
There we go.
It's fun to talk about national championships. Isn't it, Aslan? A team that could actually win it and dominates?
Oh, the good old days. The good old days.
Yep.
I had to show up for this. I had to show up.
You got
for
here
this.
just in the nick of time.
Just in the nick of time. All right. A Tuesday show is always fun because we talk about other people talking, but I almost want to talk about the other people talking about what the other people are talking about. Man, Corey, sometimes I want to ask Ira, like, hey, man, can I just do Corey's job during the mornings? Like, can I just transcribe, what's going on? But, man, there was a lot of big philosophical questions asked and answered by Mike Norvell and Kenny Dillingham. We did not get Adam Fuller on Monday. We expect to get him on Wednesday. There was some sort of scheduling. They usually do a Sunday walkthrough after their games, but since the game was so late and they got back to town late, Norvell gave them the entire Sunday off. Some people came in for treatment and then used Monday as that sort of walkthrough. And then today, Tuesday, as you're listening to the show, will be full speed ahead preparing for them Tigers. 5-time defending ACC champions, I think. So we didn't get that. But, yeah, man, you're knocking all this out, and then all the replies other than Coco Noles, who is just the absolute most just everything positive. Just nothing can go wrong in that guy's world. It's quite amazing. Everybody's mad. Everybody's just mad at everything. That's where we're at right now. Which is not fun, and it's understandable, I guess. But everyone just they're not mad at you. No one likes it. No one's happy right now, Corey, which is not shocking at all. How do you sort of deal with that? The fact that everything that you're writing right now is first reply is whatever.
And that's the issue. Like, you can write. I wrote a column about Asante Samuel because he has had a really good year in a sea of awfulness. And it's it's hard to write. Like, man, 2013 when I was the beat writer at the Democrat, buddy, every week I was writing something awesome. Yeah. Like, I'm sitting down with 30 minutes with Brian Stork or Telvin Smith. We're getting Jameis every week. Devontae Freeman, I'm telling him he runs balls out
with a Z.
With a Z, of course. Everything is awesome. It just was. Everybody wants to talk. There are still good stories on this team, but they're a bad football team, and nobody wants to read them, and that's the challenge. The challenge is making interesting stories or writing stuff that people want to read in a season of terror, which is what this is. Just I feel like all these Florida State fans get terrorized every week having to watch this team, and they don't want to read something positive, and they get tired of Norvell saying, I love the way they grow. They continue to grow. They're still buying in, because they heard it the last 2 years too. We were promised by the former head coach that, this will turn around. I'm going to get it turned around. And then now this guy's saying, I really like what I'm seeing. They're buying. And, I get it. Florida State fans are punch drunk. They're done with it. I looked up, Aslan, because the whole thing that started my tirade on headlines last week was that I don't know if anybody listened to it, but if you did, I dropped some F-bombs because Jeff and Ira were kind of trying to I get it. They're rationalizing and explaining why the team is so bad. And that, look, every team in the country has gone through this. Every program in the country has had down seasons.
But why weren't you guys making excuses for Willie, huh? Why aren't you guys making excuses for Willie, huh?
We'll get past that. But so that was, and it's like, look, Oklahoma's gone through it, Alabama's gone through it. Florida had 2 losing seasons in a 4-year span. And my counter to that, and it's true because I went and looked it up. Yeah, they lost games. Florida did in 2013 and in 2017. They were 4-8. I think 4-8 and 5-6 or something. But they weren't getting boat raced every week. And that, I think, more than anything, is what's so hard for Florida State fans. They're not even competitive games. And we thought, I was happy with the way Florida State finished that game on Saturday night. They were still down 28-3 and 35-9. They were still blown. They were down 35-9 in the fourth quarter before, and NC State's throwing it into the end zone, and Brownlee makes the crazy figure 4 interception.
I finally got to see it. Wow.
Crazy, right?
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
But you also saw that he was in great position.
Yeah.
It wasn't some crazy bicycle kick cartwheel that he made he was in position and then ended up getting lucky with the deflection. But that, to me, Florida State's already been outscored by 130 points this year, or 120 points, something like that. And if you take away, if you just do it with FBS schools, it's worse. And who knows what's coming this weekend?
Oh,
they might. But so I looked it up. So they are. What are they now? 19 and 20 and 26 in their last 46 games, something like that. And they're 17 and 26 against FBS schools. Those 26 losses are by an average of 18 points. Ugh. So it's not like, that Florida team that even lost in 2013 when they finished on a 6-game losing streak. They were losing by 3 points, 14 points, 9 points. They got boat raced by Florida State. But heck, they were even in the game late in the second quarter until Kelvin Benjamin just threw away their defense like a bunch of rag dolls. And then that was over because their offense was terrible. But they still had something to believe in. Even those bad teams, that Florida team in 2013 had a decent defense, just an awful offense. But there's nothing redeeming. There's nothing really hopeful about this team right now, I guess. And it's not just the losses. It's when you lose, you get crushed. And that to me is what's so, you can look around the country and say, yeah, it's happened here, it's happened here. But I don't know that Pittsburgh suffers losses like Florida State suffered the last 3 or 4 years. Or Boston College. Like, they are getting blown out by bad teams. Or mediocre teams, average teams. NC State's probably an average team. They're not terrible. Louisville's not good. You got blown out by them. So to me, that is why it's so frustrating for Florida State fans. You can accept losing, and you have to. What else are you going to do? You going to not accept it and just fold your arms and say, I'm not watching this. I don't believe it. I don't accept the results. Or are you gonna? I get that. Like, you can accept losing, but that doesn't mean you can accept getting blown out every game by bad teams. And that's where Florida State fans are still just like, what? And I get it. Like, why is this? Why is it so bad? Why does it have to be so bad? Yeah, we get you're going through a rebuild, but every game you're going to lose by 3 touchdowns every game, and you're going to lose by 60 this weekend. So anyway, you're down 28-3 to NC State. I'm going to go back and look up, because I guess I'm a masochist. I want to go back and look up, like, was that the biggest win Pitt has had over an ACC team? Was that the biggest win that Boston College in 17, 35-3? Is that the biggest win Boston College has had against an ACC team? I can promise you that's probably the biggest win Miami's had against an ACC team. NC State 2 years ago with Willie in 18, they won by 29, 30 points. Like, these aren't teams that beat teams by 30 points. It's one thing to get blown out by Clemson. Florida State, for the last 3 years, seemingly gets blown out by everyone, and that's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I would not, but then I just, at the same time, kind of know what's coming, so I probably wouldn't be. And it's, I'm not trying to criticize, but it's just funny to watch. Like, you're just simply relaying what Mike Norvell is saying in this thread, and then everybody's just like, this is terrible. We're practicing hard, playing soft. Coach speaks amazing. It's just potential bowl invite can't be serious. It's just crazy. It's
well, but is it though? Like, what would you be if you were still working in Dothan?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be.
Yeah, like, what do you guys keep asking all these softball questions? Ask him if he's going to fire Adam Fuller.
No, he's going to fire.
He's going to hire Will Muschamp.
Can he fire himself? Yeah. Why doesn't he fire himself? Yeah. So I get it, man. I get it, because this is a proud fan base.
Yeah, man.
And I think because and that was kind of the point I was trying to articulate to Jeff and Ira, which I didn't do a good job of, is we're in it. So we're in it. Like, we're in the everyday, the minutia of everything. It's like I think I said this analogy last week. It's like we're so deep in it, we don't see how bad it is. Because we pay so much attention to it. But somebody that steps away for 9 months and comes back and goes, what does Florida State look like this for? Like I said, like when you haven't seen your nephew for a year and a half, and then you see him and he looks like an adult. You're like, wait, when did this happen?
Yeah.
But the dad, you don't notice. I don't notice Brady growing because I see him every day. So maybe we're so deep in it, we don't have the 10,000-foot view of, man, this is awful. This isn't, and I don't even feel like this is normal awful. Like, every team goes through this. Florida went through it. Florida wasn't this bad when they were bad. They just weren't. Not for a 3 or 4 year stretch.
Like, Randy Shannon Canes weren't this bad. Al Golden Kane. Al Golden they got kind of roughed up a few times, but
I could go look. We look at it through a vacuum, but I don't think we should ever normalize getting blown out each week at a place like Florida State. You just shouldn't. Now, again, though, this is a very different and difficult season. And as Dillingham and Norvell pointed out, I think maybe it was Dillingham, and it's not an excuse, folks, it's the truth. Their 2 best quarterbacks were guys that did not practice at all in the fall practice. Just didn't have it. Just didn't do it. So he was saying that Chubba Purdy is going through the same thing Jordan Travis went through back when he first started games. Like, these are the first reps he's really getting. Just like Jordan's first reps he was really getting was in the Jacksonville State game. And then his first start was the next week. That's the same thing with Chubba. He wasn't getting the reps. He didn't get a chance to get the reps. So they're not all that comfortable. They really simplify. Didn't Dillingham say it was the most simplified offense he's run since he was coaching high school?
He said that. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where they are. And that's not their fault. Number one, it's not their fault that the only quarterback on the roster with any experience was James Blackman. That is not Mike Norvell's fault. It just isn't. And it's
He
not
could've
their
got him
fault.
maybe a grad transfer, but we do think he tried to bring Brady White from Memphis with him.
And Jordan Travis was here, and he got 2 quarterbacks. He actually signed some quarterbacks, which is allowed. But they got, it's not his fault that COVID happened. And it's not his fault that Chubba Purdy and Jordan Travis both got hurt. Those are things outside his control that really made this season that was going to be
he could have
a tough one anyway.
He could have non-contacted Chubba, but his whole which I'm not second guessing it, but some people did.
Yeah,
I was fine with
sure,
letting him go live.
You could green shirt everyone and say, he could have green shirted Marvin, he wouldn't have hurt his knee. I get it. Yeah, maybe you should green shirt your quarterback, but again, when he's a runner, you need him to show that he can run. Anyway, you could say, yeah. I mean, right. Jimbo did it with Jameis, and it worked out. So it just wasn't. Either way, it was bad luck. Even if you want to give him, say it's his fault for not putting.
He let Jameis go live.
Oh yeah, that's when the legend of Jameis started in the 2013 spring, before even the spring game. He went live one day, and I think Ira tells the story. I don't know how Ira heard it, but it was goal line drills, and Jameis kept it on a bootleg, and slammed over 2 guys to get the touchdoone, and then talked Jameis to him after he did it.
That's right.
So that happened occasionally. There's a lot of things that were stacked up against him. And Florida State fans, I think deep down, even though, not maybe, I don't know what the percentage is. A lot of Florida State fans are understanding and rational to a point. Like, yes, we get it. Yes, this is a tough season. Yes, it's not his fault that the roster looks like this. But by gosh, do they have to get down 30 points every week? Does that have to happen? And that's where I think there can be 2 sides of that coin, right? Like, I think it's incredibly unfair to say that Norvell can't do the job based on this season and this roster. But I don't think it's unfair to say, man, what's going on where you're always down by 3 or 4 touchdowns in every game you play? Like literally 5 of the last 6.
He's got no quarterback.
Yeah.
Because of what he inherited. He's got a really young offensive line. His number 1 receiver has got a money year, hurts his knee, decides to tap out, which is fine. I get it.
What about that defense, though?
Yeah, man. That's the guy you hired.
Yeah.
That's the way they're playing.
But I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable question.
Yeah.
And concern if you're a Florida State fan, because again, you can't. There's nothing we've seen that says, yeah, Norvell's definitely the guy. He's going to turn this thing around. It's much too early to judge either way. But through 9 games, you can certainly understand that Florida State fans are like, man, it seems to be getting worse, and there are reasons for it. But still, some teams, buck up and actually, play above their level.
Yeah.
And
it's weird because I do think, despite like these blowouts, I mean, there's nothing redeeming about the Louisville game. There was like nothing redeeming at all about the Pitt game. Miami, I mean, we're sitting here talking about how many games now, and I just pretty much am like, you got to scrub clean these 3 games, and they've played what they've played. They've played 8 games, so that's pretty lame, Aslan. Like, despite those 3 games, pretty much having nothing redeeming about them at all. Although I guess Miami, you could say the first drive, and then they kind of petered out. I mean, they won games. Like, I mean, they won more games in Willie's first season than they're going to win this year. It's a mathematical certainty. There was nothing I felt good about in 18. Like there was no, like the Miami game. The 3 quarters against Miami was the only thing that I felt good about. The Virginia Tech game was a disaster. Samford game, disaster. Northern Illinois, whatever. Wake Forest game, whatever. Syracuse, embarrassing. Boston College game, I mean, I guess, you had to win out the last 2 games of the year to keep your bowl streak alive. But Notre Dame game, embarrassment. NC State game, embarrassment. And then with everything on the line against Florida, like your defining moment of the year maybe, you fold, and then it's well, hey, man, Willie, look at him going out to midfield and making sure they didn't plant the flag on the Seminole head at midfield. Like that was, that's what you walked away from after 12 games was just all this garbage, these blowout losses, and even the games you won, like nothing really looked all that good. It was just simply like you had a better roster than those other teams, and you just kind of didn't get in your own way to win those games. Now, the North Carolina game, North Carolina probably has a better roster than Florida State. I think we could probably say that. Like, they beat North Carolina because they had a healthy quarterback. I'm not going to give a lot of the Jacksonville State game, whatever. That's an FCS team. I don't care. Like Notre Dame might win the ACC. Notre Dame might get into the playoff. Notre Dame just beat the 5-time defending conference champions, who I know didn't have their quarterback. Like you made them fight. You made them have to earn that win against Notre Dame. You had good drives. You came out second half and marched down the field. You put together good drives against good teams. And I know these are little small victories, and I'm not trying to prop this staff up because I'm not sold on this at all. I don't feel good about anything really, in big picture wise. But I mean, you do see little bits of things at least. Like, if you just can't sit here and be miserable about the entire team the entire time, there are little sort of redeeming things about this team. He's been able to make some adjustments. I mean, we saw them go out with a true freshman quarterback and score 3 touchdowns in the second half. They hadn't scored touchdowns in the second half. Very low bar. I understand. I get it. But it's just, this whole patience thing is kind of weird. I do understand it. Shout out real quick, Corey, to Sean Norris. I guess this is back to the point about it is a very unique season. He posted this on the YouTube page. I didn't get a chance to fact check it. I'm just going to hope that Sean's on top of his game. But here are your Power 5 first-year coaches thus far, which Baylor's played 6 games? I thought Baylor's had a bunch of games canceled. But he's got Baylor at 1-5, Mississippi State's 2-4, Rutgers is 1-3, UW, Washington, 1-0, fresh off that win over Oregon State that went down to like 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, my gosh, and they got Oregon State got screwed.
Oh, that targeting
Did you see that
call?
spot?
Oh.
No, there was a spot. Oregon State went for it on like 4th and 1, and he got it by like a half a yard, and they spotted it awfully. And then they didn't have a because they only had 6 cameras in the stadium because of COVID. They couldn't find a good replay review to overturn it, but it was obvious on every, even not a great view. It was obvious he got it by like a yard, and they couldn't overturn it. So Oregon State got screwed on that one.
So is Oregon State with us in the doldrums of like starting like four consecutive losses?
Yeah, that's right.
Season?
Yeah, that should be their 4th one in a row. Yeah, or that might have been their 5th.
Okay, there we go.
I think Purdue too. I think Purdue, Oregon State, and Florida State are all still right there.
No, Purdue I think won their opener.
No, that's right, they did. Maybe they haven't won since or something.
Yeah. Anyhow, okay, so back to this. Baylor 1-5, Mississippi State 2-4, Greg Schiano Rutgers 1-3, Jimmy Lake 1-0 in Washington, Lane Kiffin's 3-4 at Ole Miss, Sam Pittman in Arkansas is 3-4, and then Elijah Drinkowitz in Missouri is 2-3.
I think again the difference, though.
But none of those programs are of the pedigree of Florida State, right?
So there's 2 differences. Yes, that and maybe Ole Miss gets blown out in all their losses, but I don't feel like it. Like the Alabama game, they gave up 800 yards, but they scored 50 points, right?
Something like that, yeah.
So you can see already quite easily the impact on one side of the ball that a coaching staff has made to a point where Ole Miss, you could say, is an elite offense. That has not happened at Florida State. That's all. And Arkansas obviously is better.
63-48 was the Alabama-Ole Miss score.
That's crazy. That's craziness.
You see Lane Kiffin chuck his clipboard up in the air on that touchdown against South Carolina that probably...
Yeah, but he specified it wasn't a clipboard. He's like, man, that's an old... Nobody uses clipboards anymore except for, I think he said Gus Malzahn still uses a clipboard. He goes, it's a call sheet. I threw my call sheet up in the air, and I guess they make it kind of sturdy is what he was saying, and that's why it got so much distance.
I was about to say, that thing was amazing.
Yeah. He's like, they make it like out of cardboard almost. And he goes, that was whatever he said, he's like, that was a great throw.
Late fall, college ball, the NBA bubble, UFC Fight Island. It is clear 2020 has been a year unlike any other, which is why you need a sports book with offers unlike any other. Get some skin in the game with MyBookie, where odds boosts, lightning deals, and free bets await all season long. And with Thanksgiving right around the corner, there really is no better time to feast on some NFL action. Whether you're a first-time customer or have been playing with MyBookie for years, there is no shortage of value to be found in the thousands of game lines, unique prop bets, and contests that they offer every week. Sign up or get reloaded today. Find an edge, make your bet, get paid. They also boast a fully fledged casino platform giving you access to all the classic table, slot, and card games you'd expect to find at your local spot. Best part is, at MyBookie, the doors never close, so you can continue to build your bankroll even after the stadium lights have gone out. Make the right play. Sign up today at MyBookie. And when you do, use promo code WARCHANT. That's promo code WARCHANT to get your deposit matched halfway all the way up to $1,000. The terms are simple. You put in $200, they'll match you with another $100 in your account. If you were already planning to bet this season, this is free betting money. It's winning season at MyBookie, so come join in on the fun and win some cash while you're at it. All right, before we get back to overanalyzing every little nook and cranny about this team right now, I guess was there anything? Kenny Dillingham and Mike Norvell, I think the biggest sort of takeaway was this whole perceived youth movement, this purge. Everybody wanted to fire everybody, at least player-wise. Like, let's go major league. Let's just pink slip everybody and just start new with all these young guys, which is what they're doing. They're now, I think, officially the youngest team in the FBS. It's not by design, is what both of them said. Like this youth movement thing was not by design. They are putting out the players they think give them the best chance for success, which is, I mean, I don't want to start calling guys' names out, Corey, but I feel like for this exercise we kind of would have to. Like, who are the young guys that are starting over dudes that otherwise would be starting maybe if this thing wasn't, if it was like really youth movement? Like Brady, I mean, I hate to pick on like Brady Scott, but, Thomas Schrader is ahead of him. Robert Scott got ahead of him when Darius Washington went down. Brady Scott came. I think he did okay. But, I mean, I guess that's another thing that speaks
maybe
to
the quarterback. Obviously you went with your quarterbacks that are young instead of the guy that's been here a long time who's not on the roster anymore. Wide receivers, you're playing who you got, which isn't much. Running backs, you're playing who you got. I don't know. Brownlee is a freshman, but I think he'd be playing anyway because, again, he said Papuchis – how about that? So Papuchis was talking about the timeout they had to call when they only had 10 guys on the field. And
before kickoff,
which, again, there's no excuse for that. And did you ask that question to Norvell or did Ira? I can't remember. I mean, I know you guys ask 85% of the questions, but
no, I wasn't a special teams guy today. That was okay. That was Philip.
About how he handles mistakes in the moment.
Oh yeah, that was me.
Yeah, and he was. I think because he was very upset about that, having to call a timeout on a kickoff.
Oh yeah,
and it was because Papuchis admitted, he's like, look, Brown. At that point, we only had two cornerbacks, so. Brownlee, he had told Brownlee he didn't have to get on kickoff coverage, but then he had forgotten to tell whoever his backup is. And so when they went out there, Brownlee had been told, don't worry about it. Well, but then Papuchis hadn't stepped up and actually told somebody to go in his place. And they had to call a timeout, and Papuchis admitted that was a mistake. And, I don't know that Brownlee would be starting if like Dotson and Akeem Dent and those guys were healthy, but maybe he would, because he's showing you a little something, not just the crazy interception. Like he was in good position on another one later in the game, and he seems to compete at least. I think he's a guy that could be a nice player by the time he's a junior or senior. He's just a redshirt freshman. I guess he'll be a freshman again next year. So I don't think that's a youth movement. They have to play him. They only had three guys available at cornerback.
Well, and Sidney Williams too, right? At safety, because Renardo Green's not playing. Hams has been hurt,
and Raymond Woody has, Raymond Woody's Raymond Woody. Brennan Gant's Gant.
Ooh, I think I totally forgot about Raymond Woody.
He was there. You never know.
Did he play?
No, I don't think so. Toa Feely was there, but apparently wasn't available. And Raymond Woody was there and didn't play. Not that I remember anyway. I'll look it up right now, buddy. While you tell people what's going on. What's next? What's up next?
Well, no, I was going to look it up. I was going to,
No, I got you right here. I'm looking up right now. Does not look
I guess, this...
No, he did not.
Yeah,
Raymond Woody did not play it down.
This purported youth movement, then it's been all by necessity. Like, I was really trying to think, like, who's a true freshman that start? Really, offensive line is the only one where it's not medical. It's not because of medical availability necessity. Like, there's healthy bodies. We assume like Chaz Neal is a relatively healthy young man, we think, but Robert Scott is just been put ahead of him because they think Robert Scott's better than him. Brady Scott's another guy. I mean, James Blackman's one of the guys, but he's no longer with the team. I mean, there's no one on the – I mean, Dennis Briggs isn't starting over like Corey Durnan. Corey Durnan wasn't available for that game. So, I guess the whole the youth thing might be overblown then. Yeah, just totally.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing. Yeah, I never really saw like that. I thought maybe early in the season when they started to play Lundy, it's like, okay, they're just tired of watching Warner and Rice. But man, Lundy just doesn't know what he's doing right now. It's not clicking with that young man right now. He'll be a freshman again next year, and maybe it clicks more. But I mean, every time he plays, it's not great. And so no, I don't think they're doing it. I think that's right. I think they're either playing the guys. I think they had. If you really went and counted up, I think they had like 59 or 60 scholarship players available Saturday night. I mean, you can only do so much. You got to play, and most of those are freshmen and sophomore. So you got to play who you got to play. That should theoretically, you hope, if they're any good, pay dividends down the line. But we'll see. I don't think there's a youth movement to take. I just think you got to play who's available at this point, and it's mostly going to be young guys because that's what most of your team is. That's how it works, and it'll be a lot of fun this Saturday at noon. When do you think? Honestly, what do you think the halftime score is?
42-3.
Getting up a field goal, huh?
38-3.
I think if Jordan. So what did you think when Norvell was asked about Jordan Travis? He said he was excited about seeing him back in action. Wasn't that the quote?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was not. He's definitely practicing this week, and he's definitely going to play. It was I'm excited about seeing him back in action. He might have even said this week, but he's been excited before, and for reasons that we saw later, there were no reasons to be excited because the kid didn't play. So if Jordan Travis plays and he's relatively healthy, I think you put up a couple touchdowns on these guys. I really do. How about my man Venables saying he was like Lamar Jackson?
I saw like both you and Ira retweeted it. Ira's big on this Jordan Travis transformative program impact player, and I'm so far off, and I feel so bad. He's a really great kid, and he's definitely an improvement over what Florida State's had a quarterback post Jameis Winston. I mean, if he was healthy, which is a really big if. I mean, he probably gives you more than what DeAndre Francois gave you in 16, and that's clearly the best quarterback play they've had since Jameis has been here. I just
don't think you can't overlook. I tweeted out his stats because I took the sacks away. I went and looked up the sacks. I mean, he's averaging 7.5 yards per carry. He's run for 550 yards on 70-something carries.
Are you
with
serious?
6 touchdowns. Yeah.
Jeez.
When you take away the sacks. He's their leading rusher anyway. But when you take away the sacks, he's rushed for like 550 yards. And that isn't normal. And we watch these games, right? Like, it's not like these are just wide open runs he's making. Like, he's making dudes miss, and he's making dynamic plays. No, he's not Lamar Jackson because who the flip is. But I think when Venables says he's like Lamar Jackson, it means like he is such a dynamic runner that he changes the way you have to defend. And if you're one-on-one with him, you are not going to tackle him. It just does not happen much. Now, Clemson's a different animal. They might treat him like a tackling dummy. But all these other teams, including Notre Dame, but Clemson ran for 40 yards against Notre Dame. Etienne had like 38 yards or 50 yards and a fumble. Jordan Travis ran for over 100 and a touchdown. Like, again, he's done it against good teams too. The whole, like, I think we've dismissed his running ability too much because of the injury. But when he's healthy, big win, we get all that. He is unlike, there might be 2 or 3 other quarterbacks in the country that do what he does with their legs. He is just a unique dude back there with his legs. His arm, different. 3rd and 8, it's different. But 1st and 10 on a zone read, he is a real weapon. And I don't know if you guys have been watching this Florida State offense the last few weeks. They don't have a lot of weapons. But they have a dude that can run for 88 yards in a game against a good defense, make a dude miss and fall down. They have a dude that can dribble it to himself and cross over and score a touchdown. He is a unique dude back there with his legs. And we don't know if he's going to be a good quarterback, but I mean, if he stays healthy, he runs for like 1,300 yards. But if he stays healthy.
Trying to think here. I feel like, I don't know, like De'Aaron King's probably a better runner.
No,
Nope.
Nope.
Think so?
No chance.
Okay.
He is a better quarterback. There's no question about that right now. But no, I don't think Jordan. I'm telling you, man. I think Jordan Travis could be like an elite running back. Like
no,
he's just
because he can't hold up, man. He can't be.
Well, no, I'm saying he has the skills, not necessarily the body. He has the skills with the lean, with the elusiveness, with the speed, the always falling forward, the making guys miss, wiggling through tacklers, slicing through things. I just think he could be a very good running back. Like, this just isn't normal. He's not just running because he's a quarterback and they haven't accounted for him. Notre Dame accounted for him. They watched that game before.
They saw that Jacksonville State
They
tape.
saw Jacksonville State get terrorized. Like, we can't let this happen to us. Notre Dame had accounted for him. So in North Carolina. They couldn't do anything with him. He's really hard to tackle.
If he plays against Clemson and he pops off a run of more than 15 yards, I will say he's elite. I'll give you that.
You'll say he's an elite runner.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's not an elite quarterback. I hope people don't think I'm making that case.
No. I don't. Yeah. Here's the thing, and again, like, we've been on the bad end of this of these dual threat running quarterbacks. Even Lamar. Like, it was just like, why can't they get a hold of him? Like, he's right there, just tackle him. But he, loop-de-loops and spins out of it and just zips by through a crease. And it's like, how did that just happen?
I thought Lamar was a little different, though, because in my mind anyway, especially that 16 game, you watch that game and you're like, well, yeah, who's going to tackle that dude?
Yeah.
Like, he's more highlight reel-ish. Like, it's just, you're not used to that kind of speed. He was the fastest guy on the field. And he had like Peter Warwick type shiftiness. Jordan Travis is a little different because, like you said, it doesn't look like he's going that fast.
He doesn't. It's crazy. That's why I really want to see him against a team like Clemson.
And he does it well. Notre Dame's like Clemson, though, right?
Yeah.
We can't dismiss. I mean, he threw for 200 and ran for 100 and put up more points than anybody but Clemson has against that team. And that was in overtime. But in his elusiveness, it's weird too because he's not like he doesn't always shake guys where they fall to the ground and look like they popped a hammy, but he still makes them miss and keeps going forward and leans forward. It's just he's got a unique innate ability to run, but right. The question is, can he hold up? And if you don't think he can hold up, then what do you do with Chuba? And that's the question I feel like we'll be asking for probably the next 12 months. Is what do you do with this quarterback situation with a guy that could be the guy in Chuba if he can continue to take steps and that you believe in, or a guy that name one other person that has an elite skill on this team.
Right? Yeah.
Asante Samuel
covering,
probably elite cover.
Yeah.
And that's probably it.
Yeah.
Jordan Travis has an elite skill, in my opinion. So if you have one of those, try to utilize it as much as possible.
And yeah, I don't know what's the counter though, right? I mean, I'm on your side with this. Like, what's the counter to not play him? Like, you can
if he's not healthy,
beat Virginia and beat Duke. I mean, I don't know. Like, if you can't beat Duke with, I don't know. That's if you're gonna. I mean, he talked about how he was so happy with the way they grew and compete against NC State. But at the end of the day, they're going out there to win games. They're not winning games, and it's terribly frustrating. So if Jordan Travis is cleared and he's like 75, 80%, I just don't know. Like, I don't see why you would sit him. I don't know the difference between being 3 and 8 and the difference between being 2 and 9.
Well, that assumes that there's well, it doesn't matter who they could start, Patrick Mahomes. That should be allowed, by the way. Like, one game where it's this big a spread, a 32-point spread, let Patrick Mahomes practice, if they had a bye, practice for a week with Florida State and play and see what that looks like, what difference it would make. Like, what do you think the point spread is in Vegas if Patrick Mahomes says, I'm playing for Florida State this week? Does it go down a touchdown?
Oh, more than that. I think
think?
It's like in the 20s.
Well, yeah, man, that could be 28.
I think like 18.5. I'll say 18.5 with the Mahomes.
Imagine him like, Keyshawn, man, you got to get open, buddy. Just please get open. Well, where's Tyreek Hill? Where was Kelsey? Like, I don't understand what's going on. Dealing with those Florida State receivers. But yeah, the quarterback is such a big deal. But yeah, I don't think it matters who's playing quarterback, obviously. And I'm being honest. If Mahomes was playing quarterback, if you switched quarterbacks in this game coming up, let Chubba Purdy play for Clemson, let Trevor Lawrence play for Florida State, I still don't think it's all that close. I just think the programs are so different. It does not matter who plays quarterback is what I'm saying for Florida State. The game is it's a wrap. You're losing this game. But I think that they are really, really intrigued by Jordan Travis. And they know that they had a stretch where they had like 31 drives until the halftime of that North Carolina game. They had like 29 drives with Jordan Travis as the quarterback and scored 16 or 17 times, which is the best stretch they've had since Jameis Winston. Then he got hurt, and the offense fell off a cliff. That's not coincidence. I think they're genuinely intrigued by what Jordan Travis can do with this offense if he can stay upright. And so moving forward, I think you want to give him reps to see what it looks like if he can build upon it, and build upon it as a thrower. Like, you know what he can do as a runner. If he can make a couple of strides in these next few games as a thrower, well, I think you go into 2021 knowing you have a nice backup in Chubba, who will get a lot of work in practice, preseason practice finally, but you have a potential dynamic quarterback. And I don't know that they think that about Chubba right now. That's all. But then again, they might also watch Jordan enough in practice and think, his ceiling is only so high. Chubba's ceiling is a little higher because he throws the ball better, if indeed he does throw the ball better.
I do wonder how much more comfortable they are if they have like a more prototypical quarterback. Like, I do wonder where like Luke Altmaier fits into these plans if he still does come, because I mean I still think I don't know why they had plans to put Tate Rodemaker in there unless they think that Tate, as I don't know, Drew Bledsoe light, gives them something different. I mean, he does give them something different, but he doesn't have a better arm. He doesn't have a demonstrably better arm than Chubba or Jordan Travis. He doesn't seem to have a demonstrably more better understanding of what that offense is supposed to do, where the ball is supposed to go. The guy don't know no clue why they would put him out there, other than the fact they think that maybe they get some sort of spark. Maybe there's some sort of play calls they feel, I don't know, more comfortable giving a guy that's not maybe as quick to run. But like Jordan Travis, when they tell him to throw the ball, man, like he stays in the pocket. Same thing with Chubba. They're not looking to necessarily just find the first sign of trouble and break out and run. That's why I wonder if like they can really put their arms around kind of what they have with Jordan and figure out the best way to utilize them. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, I was giving our little guff there. Yeah, man, run him out there, start him. Keep the ball.
Yeah, if he's healthy, if he can go, I think he's your starting quarterback. I don't think he lost it because of injury. I think he's your starting quarterback. They've been better this season with him at quarterback. Chubba's had, I don't know what Chubba's had now, 20 drives or so. He's had enough. It's a big enough sample size, in my opinion, to know for this team this year, Jordan Travis is a better option, in my opinion, than Chubba Purdy. That does not mean he's a better option for 2021. But, if Jordan can go, let him go. He's your starting quarterback. And just tell Clemson to take it easy, or you're going at knees. You're diving at knees. That's what you say. Look, if Jordan Travis gets hurt,
we're playing like Citadel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're cut blocking everybody. And our defensive linemen are cut blocking everybody. Because we're not going to tackle. You're going to score no matter what. But they're going to pull Trevor Lawrence down by the hair. It's going to be nasty. So, I wonder. I just wonder what Dabo's thinking going into this game. There's just never been a game like this, and I don't know if they've ever been an underdog by this much. I can't imagine since Bowden took over that they've ever been an underdog by this much. And it's an angry Clemson team. They got to play Lamar Jackson.
Angry. That's what gives me real concern.
But they're not
they're talking it all up like, hey, this kid's like Lamar. We got to be focused on this. And
they're not a great Clemson defense right now. Like they gave up some points to Boston College, gave up some points to Virginia, gave up a lot to Notre Dame. They're not an incredible defense, but they're certainly, I would say, the second best one that Florida State's played. Maybe Notre Dame's better. I don't know what the stats say. but they're one of the best in the country. They're just not impenetrable. Like, you can score on this team, if you have players.
13th total defense, 24th. They're allowing 305 yards a game, allowing under 20 points per game.
Okay, well, so there you go. So if you can get 318 and 21 or 20, if you can get to 20 points, even if they get to 70, if you get to 20, I think you feel all right about that. Man, 70 is in play, by the way.
They're 15th in the nation in third down defense, averaging 3 3/4 sacks per game, 5th in the country, a shade over 9 tackles for loss, which is 3rd in the nation.
Boy. Okay. Well, look, guys, it is a steep hill. It's not impossible. Crazier things have happened. You're going to have to play your A game. You're going to have to hope they play their Z game. Or maybe they don't show up and they forfeit. Those are about your only choices. But I am interested. I guess the thing I'm most interested in is the quarterback play. Either way, like if Jordan goes, I do want to see him against this defense, and then because every game is a experience, is a learning step. You hope, and the same thing with Chuba. Like they both have Jordan has more reps, but they're both about in the same spot when it comes to learning this offense and running this offense and having experience with it. So I want to see whoever plays, if they look better than the last time they played. And how simple it is, because my man Dillingham legitimately said they simplified the offense in the first half to the point of it being high school simplistic. Like it was one read. They wanted to shorten the game. That's why he wouldn't throw the ball, I guess, more than 7 yards downfield. And then he said, in the second half, they let him loose a little bit, and it was a lot better. I think they had the training wheels on, probably a little bit too much, because I don't know. I just think when you know what your defense is, and we don't even think the defense played all that poorly in that game, and they still gave up 28 of the first 31 points in that game.
We were talking to John Papuch, and everybody keeps asking about special team stuff, which is, his thing. And I'm like, hey, defensively, Mike says you guys, as a defense, are doing a little bit better. I don't know, like if you guys feel like you guys at the defensive end are doing any better. Can you talk a little about that? And he's just like, yeah, man, I don't know that we're trying. It's just like I told him, like, hey, you can run with this. Your boss just complimented, part, I guess, of one side of the ball that you have a finger in, and he was like, yeah, man, pretty much he wasn't taking any kind of victory lap because he knows just how limited they are, and we know how limited they are, and I don't want to go down too much negative lane on this. Probably should wrap up the show here, but I wonder what's going to be. Like the bigger conversation happening after this game is just reinforcing how bad this defense is, or maybe just reinforcing how limited this offense is with if Jordan Travis is injured.
You know what I want to see? I want to see a kickoff return for a touchdown.
How about past the 35?
How about get to midfield? And he was asked about Travis Jay, and he said that he does like that Travis Jay has he thinks he can give him something. But we all saw it. He's not hitting those holes. And as Papuch just said, he's like, you only hold those seams for a little bit. They're only there so we want him to hit him hard. And like he said about Ja'Kai Douglas, he's like, look, it just takes experience. And he said I think Travis Jay's last kickoff return was his best one, and it was right after the punt fumble. And he seemed to run a little angrier and harder on that one. And that's what you have to do, because I'm telling you, folks, I don't know if you can see it on the TV, but I'm watching it in the press box, and there are seams there. There is a method to what's going on. There is a rhyme and reason to these. There are lanes to run through. You can tell that it's blocked up well. It's just you haven't shown any dynamic ability at all back there at kick return. Kermit Whitfield would already have 2 or 3 touchdown returns in this season, especially as many kickoff returns as Florida State gets. They're one of the national leaders in kickoff return attempts. So, Kermit Whitfield would have 2 or 3. If you had an elite guy back there, a Greg Reed, a Kermit Whitfield, you'd be really close to like 2 or 3 or 4 touchdowns, because they are blocked up really well, and you just have 2 freshmen so far that just have not done a good job. They tiptoed through it. And that's just something they'll learn. In high school, that probably worked for Travis Jay. nobody could tackle him, whether he sauntered to the 15 or hit it full speed. He could still stop and start and run by him. Well, that's not happening in the ACC, and he'll learn that, and you hope he gets better because, so far it hasn't been great, the kickoff returns, but I think it's close, man. I really do. And I foresee Clemson kicking off a good bit on Saturday. I want to see one of those bad boys run back. That's all I'm looking for, Aslan. Defense is going to be terrible. The offense is going to struggle. I want to see the special teams make an impact, and I want to see a kickoff return for a touchdown.
I just want to see him play keep away.
Well, you got to get first downs, though,
yeah,
right?
Just get a couple.
It is funny that he brought that up, and it's true, Dillingham, because I think they were like 2 of 15 on third downs. But he's like, our first 5 third downs, he goes, whatever, 6 of the 7 fourth down attempts they had were 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and like 5 of them were 4th and 1. Like they got really close to picking up those third downs. Like they kept coming up a yard short, which technically worked because they ended up getting the first down on 5 of those anyway. But yeah, their third down offense has been horrid. It's hard when you're limited throwing the ball, and they are very limited throwing the ball because of the quarterbacks not having reps and because of the receiver play.
Back to, real quick, as we wrap the show up here. Ohio Nole at FLST8. My ears perked up when Corey mentioned Taylor County. I never thought I'd ever hear my old high school mentioned on Wake Up Warchant.
I knew there was a Taylor County. There you go.
Yeah, so when we're talking about Travis J and his the 1A competition he shredded. I think I drive through Taylor County on the way home to Tampa because I take I take US Highway 19, so I go through like Cross City and Old Town. I think
there's really no way though in 2020 for either one of us to look up where Taylor County would be. We're just going to take our word for it that it's somewhere in Florida.
I just thought I knew there was a Taylor County. I just did not think that there was a Taylor County high school. I thought like their high school was like Perry, because Perry's in Taylor County.
Oh, okay, all right. Maybe I wonder who the most famous person to come out of Taylor County is.
LeGarrette Blount, probably. Right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, is he from there?
Yeah, LeGarrette Blount's from Perry, man.
Okay, all right, LeGarrette. Oh, okay. I'll never. Maybe my all-time favorite Boise State highlight was him punching that kid, talking smack to him in the handshake line. That was incredible.
Perry, Florida, by the way, county seat,
sure.
Taylor County. The 3 notable people listed on their Wikipedia page: the Walkers, a Southern gospel group.
Okay.
LeGarrette Blount, NFL running back.
I think it's LeGarrette Blunt.
Blunt.
But I like that you say Blount.
Yeah.
You don't like blunts. You've never you shy away from
well, there was a coach in Mississippi that was Blount, and we were supposed to pronounce it Blount. So.
Well, I mean that's phonetically how it's spelled, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to pronounce it Blunt, why is the O in there?
If you wanted to be called Portier, why'd you spell it like Sidney Poitier?
Yeah. It's not a woman that wears a blouse. It's not a blus.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to pronounce it the O and the U. They're there for a reason. But with Blunt, I think you just ignored the O.
And the last notable person is Christine Falling, who is listed as serial killer who murdered 6 children. So.
Oh, all right. Well, that's a good way to end this show.
There you go. Hard knocks, Taylor County, man. Watch your pack out there.
Oh, jeez.
They also they have a paper mill in Perry, and when you drive through there at the bad time of the day, it smells just like diapers. Like used diapers. It's bad.
I never understood why paper mills smell that bad, but I wonder if they even make them. I guess there's still paper mills around, right?
Yeah, man.
We still use paper in our everyday life.
Yeah.
But they've never. It's weird. It's weird how bad they smell. Yeah. They add the smell to gasoline.
Stop.
They do. So that there's like a gas leak, they add that smell, so you'll know. Otherwise, it would be odorless. And you wouldn't know that there was a gas leak.
Ah, look at that.
I think so. That's what Ross from Friends said in an episode. So, and he was.
Why would he lie to us? Do you want to hire Will Muschamp as defensive coordinator? I don't.
Look, it's. I think if you had a choice at the end of the year, if you knew Will Muschamp would come, and he wouldn't have to pay him a ton. My man should be working for free. He is locked and loaded for what? He's got $16 million coming to him, plus
no, like
whatever Florida still owes him.
I think 13 something. It was supposed to be 18 if they would have done it last year. So
okay, so 15, 16 million. So you could probably get him on the cheap.
Yeah.
I think when you walk into a player's living room, if you're ever allowed to do that again, if you walk into a player's living room or to a coach's office at a high school, and Will Muschamp is wearing Florida State or Adam Fuller is wearing Florida State, I think one resonates more, even with all the, failures he had as a head coach. I think that's so that's my answer to that. No, probably not. I don't even think it's tenable. I don't think that's on the table. But if it was, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Hey, ask me again in 3 weeks. Ask me again on Sunday after we see what Adam Fuller's defense does to this Clemson offense.
He's due $13.2. The school has a nearly $44 million budget deficit. And Ray Tanner, their athletics director, said that this will not affect any other sport. Okay. So I don't know how that works. And they're in the red $44 million. They're going to have to pay out $13.2, which some of it will get offset if he gets picked up anywhere. But he's like, yeah, we'll be all right.
They got Darius Rucker money.
But meanwhile, like, we pretend that we're beholden, like we're being held hostage by,
Yeah, I mean,
the
look,
ACC
man, I think
network and our shortfall and the Willie Taggart buyout.
I don't think it would be it'd be a terrible play. I certainly think his resume is better than the guy you got on staff now. I don't think it makes a ton of difference in the next couple of years because your talent level is going to be your talent level. But maybe my man can attract some transfers. And maybe my man can get you in the living room with some 4- and 5-star defensive guys that know the name. And he's put a lot of dudes in the league on one side of the ball, although his defense was horrific this year.
Yeah.
But, again, it's COVID.
Yeah.
Chalk it up to COVID.
Real quick, though, defenses are always ahead of the offense this time of year, early on in the season. So, why have they not been physical and practice these defenses?
Yeah, I think it's just no tackling at all. No tackling at all. No. And plus defense is hard now. It's getting harder every year.
Oh, defense is ridiculous.
It's really hard. And plus, if you're not physical, if you're not tackling much or at all, if you're not completely bought in, you got to be bought in on it. It's like offensive line, man. If you don't want to be out there, if you're just kind of half behinding it, you're going to get exposed. And for whatever reason, South Carolina, I don't know what was going on there. I didn't keep up with them, but every week they were giving up 50 points. But still, he's got a track record. And he definitely has a track record of recruiting guys and bringing in guys. And just throwing that out there, he probably wouldn't have. He might even pay Fuller's buyout. Muschamp's got enough money to go around. I'm not. By the way, I'm not calling for the firing of Adam Fuller. It's a crazy season, crazy year. He might be a very good defensive coach. We'll see, but certainly he has not impressed any of us through the first 9 games.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting.
8 games. Sorry.
Whoever called the other day on the live show, which we'll do a live show tonight, Tuesday, 6:00. Corey, you want to do it? Call it a date.
6:00. I'm there. Can't wait.
Okay.
Can't wait, my man.
The fact that they're on a lot of ties to South Florida or Florida recruiting in general on this staff, I wonder how far the tentacles of Mike Norvell's contacts go to where I don't think there's any sort of. I'm sure there's a 6 degrees of separation because these people are it's an incestuous business. But I mean, there's not I don't think there's a direct line between Mike Norvell and Will Muschamp. I wonder how many guys there are direct lines to between. But then again, he lost guys in Memphis and brought new guys in and kept that thing running. But
he did. He certainly did.
Look at Justin Fuente, though, man. They're mad at Justin Fuente in Virginia Tech. No one's happy with their coach unless you're an Alabama or Clemson fan, maybe Ohio State. What about Justin Fields? Justin Fields elite? Is he a better runner than Jordan Travis or no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I feel like the quarterback play is probably a little different. But no, I'm telling you, man, I think Jordan Travis is about the best running quarterback in the country.
There we go. We got one. All right.
Yeah, you got something. You got something to hang your hat on when he's healthy.
We'll speak to offensive players, maybe Jordan Travis on Tuesday. Go to warchant.com. Again, that promo code's Nike75, $75 for an annual membership and a $75 e-card for Nike. And that's 11:15 in the morning, so head to Warchant. Updates from Mike Norvell and offensive players will be provided courtesy of Corey Clark. And then 6 p.m. live here on YouTube. Well, not here on YouTube, but over on YouTube. We'll do the show, and that'll be your Wednesday podcast. So until then, have a great one. He's Corey Maslow. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good.
And now, a math lesson. Let's say the Zaxby's chicken finger plate comes with 4, 5, or 6 hand-breaded fingers and 1 side of Zax sauce. Plus, you can try them with Zax sauce, honey mustard, hot honey mustard, tongue torch, teriyaki, wimpy, nuclear, barbecue ranch, sweet and spicy, insane. How many possible combinations does that make? Carry the 2 with the remainder... a lot. Zaxby's chicken finger plate. The sauce abilities are endless.